Hi, I'm Kristen Tetsi, author of The Age of the Child.
Hi, I'm Isabel, founder and firebrand of the Uprising Spark.
Hi, I'm Lenora. I'm the creator of The Bitchy Bookkeeper, and we are the three founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls. Today we have Jared Hansen with us. Jared is child-free by choice, and he is also the creator of the Facebook group Best Child-Free Life Possible. And Jared is also one of the co-founders of the upcoming Child-Free Conference that's going to be virtual, held later this year, which we may or may not talk about because I'm not sure what we're allowed to say at this point.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show. And
Thank
tell us a little bit about yourself and specifically your own child-free journey and how you got to that point.
Oh, geez. It started, I'm 34 years old. I live in South Dakota, United States. I've been child-free all my life. I've been very stern about it. I didn't really know what child-free was in the beginning. I just thought, hey, I don't want children. You know, that was kind of my stance as a kid. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of parents suffering, and I see more cons than there are pros to having children, a lot of screaming, a lot of financial hardship. So I've been always kind of blatant or very confident and, like what my stance on it. It's a deal breaker for me. So like I always seen my mom suffering, like doing like 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet for myself and my sister Megan. And so I've always been like strong on my stance with it, being child free. And eventually I got myself a vasectomy a few years ago. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I got that in Denver, Colorado, when I lived there for 4.5 years. So my life, I didn't even know what child free was for a long time. I was just like, oh, I just don't want kids. But I ended up searching Facebook and I noticed, I think I just typed in like no kids or something, and it ended up being, I was like, oh, this term is child free. I never have heard that before. So just my searching and curiosity, I was able to find, I was like, oh, there's people just like me around the world. And after that, I was like, oh, you know what? I should probably make myself a group because I think I can do it. I've had experience making groups before. I'm a big sports fan, and I made a Denver Broncos group with my fellow fans of that team. But I was like, hey, I can make a child-free group, and I think I could probably do it, maybe better than the others and make it more active than the others. And the theme of it is just like having, sharing your hobbies, your passions, sharing your life, the positives that are your life without having children. I think we can have the greatest life if we put our minds to it. And I'm a very open-minded, very optimistic person. I believe if you work hard enough, you can succeed in life. And the child-free people, you can have the best life you want right now.
I would like to know, Jared, what made you make the decision of getting a vasectomy? Because there's a lot of child-free people, but taking that step of having voluntary sterilization surgery is a whole different thing. So I want to know what is it that you said I need to get a vasectomy?
The vasectomy, I should have done it probably 10, 12 years sooner. Yeah, I did it when I was 32. I'm 34 now. I think I knew my decision even back then, but I just didn't research it enough. And I think of it as I think the nightmare of having a child, it's just too much for me. I would lose track of the child if I had one. I would eventually lose track of them because I forget enough stuff as is. With my job and that sort and other things as well. So I think the responsibility is far too great for me to handle. The responsibility is way too great. The costs and having to feed a human being is too much for me. That's a huge part of it. Is I want to live. It's another thing you have to think about, and I don't want to have to think about children. So there's enough things I want to put my mind into. I'm going to be, I like to travel. and see new places. I have goals and dreams of my own that don't include children, and I might as well go. I want to go for those dreams. Before I die. I only have one life physically, so I want to do what I can, go to the places I want to see, and achieve some of the things I want to achieve. So vasectomy, I kind of knew I wanted no kids, and I went through with it, and I thought it was going to be $1,000. That's what I assumed, but it only ended up being like $55, and it should have been. I don't know if health insurance helped out on it, but I think that's what the final bill was.
Hey, we should all get a vasectomy.
Really?
Yeah.
For that price. Oh my God.
If it were that easy for women, I bet a lot of
Yes, 100%. Jared, obviously, you talk to your mother, not to get her permission, but I'm assuming then you've had this conversation with your family. You have a sister?
Yeah, my sister.
Okay.
My sister has 2 children. I really don't like my dad back in the day. I don't really talk to my dad anymore, but I remember it's so funny. He would be like, "Oh, you're the last man to carry the Hansen name." And like it's such a big deal. Like even though Hansen is a very common family last name, whoop-de-doo.
my friend's name is Hansen.
Yeah, we're not going extinct. So to have a child for a name is ridiculous. And he wanted me to have a kid, I'm sure, but I'm doing it for myself. I'm not here to please anybody, and I stuck to my values of not having kids. And my mom, she's been pretty supportive of me. I've told her she knows how hard it is to take care of me and my sister, when we were little. My dad, actually, back to him, he said to me once, "Man, I'm glad I only had one of you, because man, I can't imagine having 2 or more, because
wow,
probably because of how big of a responsibility it is and the financial, aspects of it." And I understand, and the more the years go on, the more it's going to cost more to have a child. So my family's been pretty supportive. My little sister had the children, so I should be absolutely fine. I don't really care if it ended our relationship as a family. I would be okay with that if it had to be that way. But luckily, it's not. And my mom's been pretty supportive of me and my stance. So
well, that's good.
It's been good.
We need more stories of supportive parents. Kristen, sorry, go ahead.
So you not having kids wasn't why you and your dad aren't talking?
No, it was his alcoholism. He gets all crazy with the alcohol and drugs, and he lives 100 miles away from where I am currently, and it wasn't due to the child-free stance. It was none of that. Nope, it was none of that. Good question though.
And you said when you started your group that you had groups before, and you were pretty sure that if you did a child-free group, you could do it better than a lot of groups you were seeing. And I just wonder what it is you think about, because I like your group. I like that it focuses on, hey, what fun are we having, instead of, hey, how much can we complain about something?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so refreshing. And I wondered if when you went into it, if you started it with that in mind from the beginning, or if you had other ideas and then you kind of saw things happening and made the change that way. And
it's been mainly that. The hardest part was activity, getting people to comment. It was kind of like the first year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I had maybe like 150 people. And I was trying to get trying to ask questions and get people to start talking and that sort of thing. And because that's the biggest thing to me is I'm not going for numbers really. I'm just going for activity and have people converse with one another. So I kind of was always trying to go for the talk about your hobbies, talk about what you're doing in life, or what countries are you going to. And I think eventually it kept getting better and better. I thought of having webcam chats, which a lot of groups don't do, which is kind of sad because Facebook Rooms is available now. What kind of was bad about it was coming and going. They would get rid of it, Facebook would, and then it would come back onto our group. But when we when they have it now, if I'm not mistaken, which we'll probably be doing some in the future again. It was great. I got to see people from, like, there was someone from the Philippines, and, you know, UK and America and Australia probably as well. And it's fun to see people conversing with one another from all different walks of life. And, you know, I would ask them, you know, why are you child free? And then that's kind of how we get the conversation going. But yeah, like that was kind of my focus. I listened to Tony Robbins quite a bit. I've listened to like some of his like CD programs, and I thought, you know, I'm going to aim this group for focusing on the positive things we can do in life as a child-free person, because you have the freedom and the independence to go anywhere you want to go, and you know, work wherever you want to work, and, you know, live wherever you want to live. And you should be, you know, we only have one life to live, and you might as well live it as good as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Is my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. It kind of makes me think of whoever's in office any given presidential year. The people who don't like that, the people who do like that person who's in office will still find ways for all 4 years to complain about who they ran against before, who they might run against in the future, instead of just enjoying the fact, like, you vote for someone, there they are, enjoy it. You don't need to complain about the opposition. It's kind of, I just kind of see the child-free community being that way a little bit too. It's like you have a lot of child-free people who can just enjoy being child-free and have fun with the choice they've made and the life they're living, but instead there tends to be a lot of complaining that kind of defeats the whole purpose of being happily child-free. I don't know. I mean, it's just like,
That's
I think
true,
some people
yeah.
just need to fight.
You gotta, yeah, I'll tell you, like the groups, a lot of them are just complaining and ranting, and it's I don't know, you gotta focus on the positive. Be happy that you're child free. Like, I don't understand the going back to focusing on the children and focusing on the parents and stuff and being at them. I've actually, like, I actually don't mind kids myself. I'm pretty good with kids, but I helped my cousin pitch for his softball team 1 year and that sort of thing. So it's, I like to watch kids play sports and that sort of thing. So, but like focusing, you know, hating on the moms and hating on the children for what they do, you know, just be happy that you don't have to change diapers and all the other fun, you know, the breaking vandalism of what a child might do, or, you know, throw paint on the floor, or, you know, I was a bad kid. I was a bad kid myself. I was horrible. Like, from, you know, 5th grade or 5 years old, I threw paint on a carpet at a daycare, Volunteers of America, and pulled the fire alarm. And, you know, I don't want to have a child that's, you know, there's a chance a child could do that if they're your own. And just be happy.
I wrote my name in Sharpie on the side of a car.
Oh,
my name.
what?
I was that stupid.
Isabel, what's the worst thing you've done? We've never had this conversation. Jared, you bring up a good point. What's the worst thing you've ever done, Isabel, as a kid?
I think it was when I was like 3 years old. I was in daycare or pre-K or something. And I was mad because my mom didn't want to put like candy in my lunchbox. So I got there and I destroyed something, apparently. They took me to the shrink because I was very angry, 3-year-old. But that was the only thing I did.
Like, what do you have to be angry about? You have everything given to you. You don't even have to wipe your own butt yet.
But I love that Jared said, you know, all the kids like vandalism. Like, I've never thought about it that way. Like, for me, vandalism is always associated with adults, but not kids. You know, that's really funny.
A lot of kids can destroy some things. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's I mean, they can mess up a lot of stuff in your household if you,
yeah,
you know.
but they're like, oh, kids will be kids, right? It's like kids.
Yeah, they have a pass.
They never called a kid a vandal for that, you know.
Oh,
true.
Yeah. So yeah, like, yeah, there's a lot of, you know, I try not to focus on the kids thing, because we can always go back to the negative aspect of children and parents. In a lot of groups, unfortunately, they have the memes that they post in their groups that are kind of, you know, it bashes parents and kids and that sort of thing. You know, it's not my cup of tea. I don't see what's so great about doing that. Like I'm all about the positives, and just be happy you don't have kids, and live your life and move on. Take it, each day, live as good as you can each day. You don't have, you only have so many days in your life. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's true. And I know we can't dive very deep into this because even Lenora hasn't told us anything. I know she's part of the co-founders, but I really want to know what made you want to launch this child-free conference this year. That
Yeah.
I can ask, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I went into Cody Heitzel's group where all these admins are supposedly, and I was like, hey, can I get I'm thinking about doing this sort of convention thing. If anyone can help, because I can't do it on my own, please email or message me. And I got some responses, thankfully, and I just had a vision that why is, and I heard there was a Not Mom Summit or conference back in years ago or something, and we have conventions for almost anything anymore. I've been to your Comic-Con conventions and that sort of thing. Why not there be something for child-free people, and have some have different speakers talk about different subjects. We don't even need that many speakers. It just depends on what the demand, how many we can get. But I think, yeah, why don't we have once a year where some people can come together and do it virtually? We don't have to rent a venue, especially with it being virtual, and do something like that. Because we got some great speakers in this world that are, know a lot about the child-free lifestyle, topics and that sort of thing. And why not do it? Because I believe this child-free movement could be a big international movement, go worldwide, because I think we're kind of fighting on the birth rate. I want to see that birth rate go in a decline and go down. And I hope everyone, I want people around the world to, know that there is you can go without children and you'll be all right, and there's people out there just like you that, feel the same way about not having children, because I never knew about it for a long time until I just accidentally searched it, I just thought it was kind of different on it. So once I found there was other people, I'm like, hey, I want to, kind of tell the world about it. I want to be a little bit, vocal about this child-free stance. So the conference to me is just a way to show, possibly, we don't know how big it's going to be, but
it's going to be huge.
It's going to be ginormous. Yeah, it's going to be the greatest. so yeah, let's aim high with it. Who knows what this could be, mean. Personally, I would love to see, I was talking to Lenora about it, but have sponsors, have like Fortune 500 companies.
We've had to bring Jared down a little bit to reality.
If we'll change it to your whatever name you want to give us, 100,000, we'll change the whole name for you or something like that.
The Marriott Hotel presents people that
Yes.
are crazy for not having kids. That's the name of the new conference.
Yeah, no, we're just
that's a joke.
Let's hope we just shoot for the moon and go from there. But I'm very surprised we have weekly meetings, and we're we discuss. We seem to be doing a pretty good job on a lot more organization than I would have needed to make this thing possible. But there's a lot more specifics than I would have ever realized.
Even with our podcast, there's a lot of organization with the three of us. Like, it's a fun idea. But we've learned in the last year and a half, almost coming up to, how much work is involved, even just putting a web series and podcast together. And I think, you've asked, like, why isn't this done before? There's so much organization in it as we go with, even just with the podcast, we're always finding things to tweak and to evolve. And as with the conference, with our meetings, it's the same thing. There's always things, we have to think about this, prepare for that. Like, every fun idea does need to have some structure behind it. For me, I love that. I think that's fun. That's where I have a lot of fun with, is organizing. And not everyone's like that, and that's okay. That's why we all have different, seats at the table. So just for anyone that's watching it, has a big idea, like making a Facebook group or thinking about doing a podcast or something, we can all attest and agree that there is a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into making something anything really, if you're going to keep it going, especially because we all think longevity. We want something long lasting and valuable to the child-free community. So there is a need for a structure behind it. Just putting that out there for anyone that's thinking.
And just like having a kid, if you want to do it, you need to love it. Otherwise, do something else.
Totally.
I want this child-free conference to be an annual thing. If it could go on without me, I would love that, because I just think, I mean, it's just another media platform for you know, the world to be able to see you know, that there are child-free people out there, and I just want to see it very popular, and hopefully it's a great, you know, popular decision in the future. Hopefully it spreads, you know, like wildfire. That, you know, people, hey, maybe I don't need to have children, you know, maybe we can hold off on kids, you know. I think there's enough people on this planet that it's okay to see the population go down if it was possible. But I'm starting to read Dave Foreman's book Man Swarm. It's with Laura Carroll helped with it, and they're talking about like 156 people get born a second or something around there. I mean, it's crazy.
It's a miracle.
So, yeah, it's a miracle.
Walking around.
Yeah. So I believe in, you know, women's rights. I believe in women having contraception, and you know, and all the different forms of birth control. If we have it, why don't we use it? I don't understand getting, you know, making the, you know, having to, you know, like for women, like, you know, I've heard about this doctor questioning women, you know, like, oh, do you really want to go through with not having children? You know, like, just, you know, if they're over 18, they should be allowed to not have kids. You know, they should be, you know, have the chance to have, you know, do birth control. And
were you questioned when you went in for your vasectomy consultation?
They did ask me one or two questions on, are you like, oh, like they said, actually I was single at the time. So they said, how does your significant other feel about this? And I'm like, well, I'm single. And then I think they asked me my age. So I wonder if I was 18 or something, if they would have questioned, you know, second guessed me a little bit, but I was, you know, 32. So they're like, well, okay, well, yeah, then we assume that it was a woman that was asking me the questions. And she seemed pretty respectful to me, and but I'm kind of wondering if I was 20 or under or something like that, if she would have tried to get into my mind a little bit more, try to second guess me on it. But it went great though. So the interview was pretty short, just 2 or 3 questions.
Wow.
Yeah, women have it a lot harder, right?
Oh my goodness.
Definitely a man's world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you get much pushback from anybody, like whether it's your coworkers or strangers, if they ask you, do you have kids? Do you ever have any of those interactions?
Yeah. I had some older lady when I was city bus driving, and she's a coworker of mine, and she's like, "Oh, you'll make a great dad someday." And you don't want to hear that, but it's like, I'm not really having any children someday, but and they do you know, will you change your mind? And no, I'm not changing my mind ever. So, but like dates, that was a big thing, was dating and being child free. I don't know if you ever talked about that on your show, but that gets real interesting really fast, because I tend to say it, I bring it up first date, which is probably what you should be doing. And I remember I was at this cafe, it's called Frying Pan, and I asked this one girl, I said, yeah, that's the name of the cafe. And
I used to live in Minnesota. I've been to Frying Pan.
Oh, okay. Yep. And yeah, we're just a few miles from Minnesota. But like, I asked her, are you wanting to have children? And she says, yes. And I said, well, how many? And she said 7. And I'm like, how did you come up with that number, is kind of what I was thinking. But the big thing the big question was how are you going to support them? And she said to me, I'm going to be a millionaire personal trainer. And I'm like, you got to scratch your head at that. And pretty much the date was over after that. And what ended up happening was, and I kind of thought about it, was she's going to get pregnant before she even becomes a millionaire or even a personal trainer. And that kind of ended up happening. She ended up working as a manager at Pizza Ranch, which is a pizza buffet place, really close to where I live right now currently. So, you know,
How many kids does she have?
I think she had like at least two, I would say.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yeah, well, and I don't know now. I haven't seen her for many years, so maybe it's increased as time has gone on. But like, it's a big, important question, and you know, I see it on Facebook dating where they'll say it's a deal breaker. You must, you know, I want someone to have kids with. It's a deal breaker. Well, how about us saying it's a deal breaker that we're not going to want kids? We don't want kids. It's a deal breaker. Sorry. We got to be stern and strong about that stance. We can't. The compromise thing has got to stop. Like if you
There's
give
no such thing.
That's
yeah, there
right,
is no
isn't, yeah.
compromise.
I was gonna say.
Exactly, there is no compromise. You give them one, and they're gonna go with it. You're stuck with them for the 18 years or more. You're done.
Well,
So,
yeah, you give them one. That's not a compromise. You're a parent now.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. My cousin, here's a good one. I was in Las Vegas with him after we graduated, and he found out he was going to be a dad. And here we are down Las Vegas, and the baby mama, is up here in South Dakota, and she's demanding him to come back, you know. And I'm like, you know, it's only right for you to head back there. So we ended up going back there, and he was like telling me, well, maybe in 18, 20 years we can head back to Las Vegas and live there together or something like that. I was like, no, it's probably never going to happen. And you know what? He ended up having 2 or 3 kids after that. So he's now in a small country town where it's more affordable to live, rather than where I'm at, which is a lot like the biggest city in the state. So he's trying to get by. And he actually told me once that he's like, he gets sick and tired of having to listen to kids all the time. He's happy to talk with another adult, because he talks to kids so often that he kind of loses his mind with talking to children all the time. So he's like, oh, I'd love to, you know, it's nice that you're talking with me, you know, adult to another adult, because he talks with kids 24/7, I guess now. So, but it was on him, you know, he did it. He should have had some, you know, had condoms on, or something, you know, all the other stuff, you know, contraception and birth control. So
I think a lot of men are like you, though, in that, I mean, you might have discovered that there was a choice, but I think even a lot of men who can recognize on some practical level that having a child is a choice. I think like a lot of women, they don't see it as something they can actually say no to, especially if they're in the Midwest.
Yeah, like it's like going to college. You know, there's a pressure to go to college. Like if you don't go to college, oh boy, you're going to hear, you know, you must not be successful. Well, I think the same thing as with the kids thing. Oh, if you don't have kids, you're not as successful as anyone else, supposedly. You know, like you see it on Wheel of Fortune, where they have to do the bragging thing. It's like a status symbol, big status. You know, oh, I got 4 kids, so I'm more important than you. You know, our family's more important than your family because we have more children. It kind of seems like there's a bragging aspect to it, and I don't like that. So they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. Sometimes it feels like, sometimes with the kids, having too many kids.
You mentioned your friend that you went to Vegas, or it was your cousin that you went to Vegas with? Okay,
yep,
so we often, the conversation in the child-free community is often, you know, losing friends, or how friendship changes once your best friend or close friends, you know, start having children. So what has been your experience with friendships, and how have you stayed in touch, or how is there anything that you can speak to when close people in your circle have had a family, have gone to have children? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I can say one thing about my sister, for example. Like after she had 2 kids, for some reason, like she's living her own life now. Unfortunately, she's not my mom. She feels like she's disconnected from my mom for some reason after she has had these 2 kids. They live only a few miles from one another. Like they could go see each other, but for some reason after these 2 kids, they're not even like, she only sees them for their birthday and Christmas, and it seems kind of strange. But myself, I've moved around a lot, so I've lost, me moving around. I've lived in Las Vegas for a short time, Phoenix, Arizona for a short time, Denver for 4.5 years. So a lot of my friends are spread out, so it really didn't matter to me so much. One of my best friend, Lucas, they're Catholic. They've wanted a child. Unfortunately, they've, they have like, I think it's like they have the PCOS or they've been trying, but they haven't had any kids yet. But I don't have too many friends that actually have kids, but yeah, I try. I mean, I try to keep in contact with them still, but life does get in the way, and parenting and there's lots of responsibilities. So you got to respect it, and eventually you got to live, you got to do your own thing. But I try to keep in contact with some of my friends that have children, but actually one of my longtime friends, unfortunately I lost track of him. He went to Wisconsin. We used to go to electronic music shows together back in the day and go dance the night away from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Well, he ended up having children. He's Christian. He ended up having 3-4 kids. Pretty much never heard from him again after he went to Wisconsin. He moved towards Wisconsin, near Green Bay, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. So just never kept in contact ever again after. I have to be the one to instigate it. I don't get people coming to talk to me. Oh, hey, how you doing, Jared? I always have to be the one to instigate it, which is kind of sad. They are doing their own thing. They got lots of responsibilities, so they got to pick up the kids. I can't imagine doing that every day, and dropping off the kids, in the morning. So, and putting clothes on them and all the other aspects. I don't want to do that. So,
well, luckily we don't have to.
Yeah. Amen.
I want to know what Kristen's thinking.
Well, I was thinking that I can't even, that just the way he said just putting clothes on was funny, but you see parents who just to go buy milk, even if you're in a partnership, if you're the only one home with the kid, if you just want to go buy milk, you have to, depending on the age of the child, you have to bravo. Okay. You have to put on their shoes and dress them and make or change their diaper first, and then fill a diaper bag or fill a bag with treats or snacks, or at least I think that's what parents do now. My dad never brought snacks. He was just get in the car. It was a very different situation when I was a child compared to what it is now, but just everything you have to go through just to get in the car. And then you go into the store and you have to bring your kid with you and deal with that. And if you have a good kid, great. If you have one of those kids you didn't discipline very well, sorry. But just so much involved just in getting milk. It would probably take 2 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas I like being able to just throw on my shoes, cover up my pajamas with a coat and go to the store.
Yeah, you got winter clothes. I mean, it's winter here in South Dakota in January. Yeah. You got some extra clothes you got to put on them. You got to put on the winter jacket and all the other winter gear. So you got a point there. Mm-hmm. Yep, totally.
And putting them in the car seat. I used to look after my oldest nephew when he was a baby frequently. I would even take him to violin lessons if the parents were running late from work. I'd pick him up and then go to classes. Jeez, I mean, there was one time I couldn't get him out of the thing. So I mean, there's a lot of extra. And I remember him looking up Auntie, what's going on with you? I couldn't get out of the car seat. So I mean, there is a lot to consider. It's just like we were talking, organization is good for even fun things. The amount of organization required for children is something to think about.
Yeah, the children thing, there's so many factors when you have a child. Is your child going to be disabled? That's that'd devastate me. I would be so depressed if I had a kid that was in a wheelchair, because that's always a factor or a chance. There's always a possibility that your kid's not going to be healthy and that sort of thing. So it can get pretty bad. It can get really, it can be terrifying. So that's why I don't want children is I don't want to deal with any unnecessary stress or drama that could come. I've never changed a diaper. thank goodness. I can't imagine doing that, however many times they do it a day. Baby diapers aren't cheap from what I know. I know they got some like premium diapers now, like special delivery or something like that. Like
Organic. Yeah.
I don't know how much they are, but I'm sure they add up after you do hundreds and thousands of them a year. So.
Well, before we get too depressed, let's wrap up this episode for changing.
I'm happy.
No, I was just going to ask Isabel, Kristen, is there any other questions you want to ask Jared as we wrap up? Is there anything else? And then Jared, I'll go to you in a second.
No, I have no other questions.
Okay, Isabel, you good? Okay, comments, questions, concerns? All right, Jared, is there anything else that we haven't asked you or that you would like to share? No secrets about the conference. We're not ready for that yet.
Yeah. Just like the Childfree Conference Facebook page and follow it. And we're going to have some really great speakers. It's looking like for our first year. I'm very surprised how good I think our first year is going to be doing this.
Yeah, it's coming together nice. Where can people find your Facebook group? Or well, obviously on Facebook.
Yeah,
but...
just type in.
Edit that a bit.
Just type in best child-free life possible. You should be able to get it. Actually, I think when I typed in child-free, it's even on there too.
Okay.
It's like one of the first 5 choices, so it's very easy to find it. So, yep.
Is it on Twitter? No, sorry.
Yep. I don't have Twitter. Sorry. Thank you though.
Fine. We'll make sure we'll have links to all of your stuff below when we do this episode. So, all right. Well, anything. I haven't wrapped up in a while, so a little clumsy on this one. All right. Well, that is everything for this episode. Thank you very much, Jared, for joining us today on the show. You can leave your comments below. You can send us any questions, comments, episode suggestions. Our email is childfreegirls@gmail.com, and our website is childfreegirls.com.
You can also find us on social media. We are usually on
Facebook.
You can find us on a lot of places on social media, typically Instagram, that's like a daily thing, and Facebook is also a daily thing. Twitter, pretty good there. I hear we're also on Pinterest. We are no longer on TikTok, I don't think.
A little bit.
We're on LinkedIn.
No, we're not.
We're not? No, that's right.
We're individually on LinkedIn, but not as Childfree Girls. That wasn't a sufficient name for them, so they kicked us off.
Oh. Did I miss anything then?
Yeah, we're also on
Amazon. Yes.
Amazon, that's not social media. That's why I forgot. We're also on Amazon, where you can get a copy of your very own Childfree Girls Comfort Food for Thought. And once you read it, you'll know why we want you to have it or give it as a gift. It's a Kindle version. It's also print. It's up to you. Very good choices.
Okay, Isabel.
I'm done.
Yeah. And our question for today is, what are the topics that you're more interested in listening and learning on this Childfree conference? Leave your comments down below, or you can also send us a message to childfreegirls@gmail.com.
And also don't forget to rate and review our podcast if you are listening to on the podcast. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Even if you're not watching us on YouTube, please go and subscribe to our channel. That would really help us out. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. No, you say bye.
No, you say bye.
Oh my God, I'm leaving.
You leave first.
I'm going.
Bye.
Bye.